Welcome to this explainer. Okay, have you ever wondered why you just can't seem to put your phone down? Or why you end up buying things you literally didn't even know you wanted? Well, I started looking into this recently, and it turns out it's really not entirely our fault. Today, we're going on an investigation into the invisible architecture of choice. We're going to see exactly how corporate behavioral design might actually be hacking our brains. I want you to start by asking yourself a very serious question. Do you really control your own choices? Think about the last time you booked a flight online, or maybe the last time you just blindly clicked accept on a massive terms of service pop-up. You probably felt like you were completely in the driver's seat, exercising your own free will, right? But the reality is, every single pixel, every color choice, and every notification on your screen has been meticulously engineered to override that free will. Okay, let's dive into this. 95%. Behavioral science reveals that a staggering 95% of our decisions are actually made subconsciously. And you know why? It comes down to decision fatigue. We are constantly bombarded with endless options, whether we're in digital storefronts or walking down the aisles of a supermarket. Eventually, our brains just shut down their analytical filters to save energy. We go completely on autopilot, and that leaves us incredibly vulnerable to invisible influences. So, here is our invisible playbook for today. We're looking at 1. The illusion of choice. 2. Reciprocity and the freebie. 3. Scarcity and manufactured urgency. 4. Intermittent reinforcement traps. 5. Authority and social proof. And finally, 6. Reclaiming your mind. Let's start right in with part 1, the illusion of choice. Now, before we look at specific tactics, it is absolutely crucial to understand that psychological principles are at their core just neutral tools. It's kind of like a knife, right? You can use it to chop vegetables for a meal, or you can use it to cause harm. The boundary here is intent. Persuasion relies on logic. It respects your free will and aims for mutual benefit. Manipulation, on the other hand, completely crosses a dark line. It relies on deception, it intentionally exploits your cognitive vulnerabilities, and it is designed from the ground up entirely for one-sided gain. Which brings us to part 2, reciprocity and the freebie. Deep in our evolutionary past, sharing resources was absolutely essential for survival. If someone helped you, you owed them. It's a concept Dr. Robert Cialdini famously calls reciprocity. And corporations know this is hardwired right into our brains. I mean, think about the totally innocent supermarket free sample. You accept a tiny piece of cheese on a little toothpick, it feels completely harmless, right? But subconsciously, your brain has just opened a massive debt ledger. You suddenly feel this undeniable, almost moral obligation to return the favor. And before you even know what's happening, you're walking to the checkout counter with a huge, expensive wheel of cheese you never actually planned to buy. And this tactic scales up fast through what's known as the foot in the door technique. It always starts with a tiny request, like a harmless 7-day free trial. But then your brain's desperate need for internal consistency kicks in. By step 3, you hit the auto-renewing subscription. This is where companies use UX dark patterns against you. They intentionally make spending your money completely frictionless, but they hide the cancellation buttons deep in the menus to make opting out just frustratingly complex. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is part 3, scarcity and manufactured urgency. If reciprocity is all about debt, scarcity targets our evolutionary fear of missing out. The psychological pain of losing something is vastly more powerful than the pleasure of gaining something, and we see this weaponized constantly in digital interfaces. Say you're looking at a hotel room online, and suddenly this bold red text flashes on the screen, only 3 rooms left, right alongside a ticking countdown timer. Listen, this is a manufactured crisis. It's specifically designed to trigger sheer panic and loss aversion. Its entire goal is to completely bypass your rational thought process and force you into an impulsive, immediate purchase. Moving to part 4, intermittent reinforcement traps. To really understand how modern apps keep us hooked and scrolling infinitely, we have to look at behavioral psychologist B.F. Skinner. Skinner famously put rats in a box with a little lever. When the lever gave food every single time, the rats only pressed it when they were hungry. Makes sense, right? But when the lever gave food randomly as an unpredictable reward, the rats went completely crazy. They became obsessed, pressing the lever over and over again. This is intermittent reinforcement. And guys, it is the exact same slot machine mechanic behind the infinite scroll on your smartphone. You never know when the next exciting post or like is going to pop up, so your dopamine pathways are completely hijacked and you literally just cannot stop scrolling. But what happens when you fully realize you're wasting your time or money, and yet you keep doing it anyway? That's cognitive dissonance, a brilliant theory by Leon Festinger. It's the severe mental stress of holding two conflicting beliefs at the exact same time, like knowing a subscription is completely toxic, but still paying for it every month. To relieve these mental alarm bells, corporations use a very subtle form of gaslighting. They actually make you rationalize the bad choice. You end up telling yourself, oh, I'll definitely use that gym membership next month, effectively using your own mind to trick yourself into staying trapped. Let's look at part 5, authority and social proof. When we're unsure of what to do, our brains naturally look for a shortcut. We defer to the safety of the crowd or to the experts. Take the famous 1961 Milgram experiment at Yale. Participants were literally told by a man in a white lab coat to deliver increasingly severe electric shocks to another person. Simply because the person giving the orders looked like an authority, an astonishing 65% of participants delivered what they fully thought were lethal shocks. It proves we have a deeply dangerous blind obedience to uniforms, to titles, and to the word expert. Marketers know this inside and out, which is exactly why your toothpaste is always recommended by a seemingly objective professional wearing a crisp white coat. To truly understand the architecture of all this manipulation, we really need to look at the personalities that are designing these systems. In psychology, this is known as the dark triad. First, you have narcissism, which constantly demands your attention and loyalty. Then there's psychopathy, which allows for the very cold, totally ruthless extraction of your personal data and money completely without remorse. And finally, Machiavellianism. This trait treats every single consumer interaction as a zero-sum game. Basically, for them to win, you have to lose. This is the highly calculated mindset operating behind these toxic corporate tactics. And this brilliantly illustrates a famous quote from Niccolo Machiavelli himself, written over 500 years ago. People generally judge more by their eyes than by their hands. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. In our modern digital economy, this is truer than it has ever been. Engineered perceptions completely rule over reality. It almost doesn't even matter how good a product actually is. It only matters how the interface is designed to make you feel. Which brings us to our final section, Part 6, Reclaiming Your Mind. The truly incredible thing about psychological manipulation is that it instantly loses its power the exact moment you actually see it happening. Awareness is your ultimate shield here. So let's talk about your actionable mental defenses. First up is the gray rock method. When you're dealing with manipulative marketing or deceptive interfaces, just be as boring and unresponsive as a literal gray rock. Don't hand over your emotional data. Next is zero contact. Unsubscribe from the emails, delete the time-wasting apps, and cut those toxic dopamine loops entirely out of your life. Third, always question urgency. If a website screams at you, only one left, just pause. Step away for 24 hours. And finally, document everything. When companies try to gaslight you with hidden fees or completely change their terms overnight, having your own paper trail is your absolute best defense. We have covered a massive amount of ground today, all the way from the illusion of free will to the dark triad of corporate design. I want to leave you with one final provocative thought. In a modern world where your attention isn't just a simple product, but actually the ultimate currency, who really holds the strings to your life right now? It is time to take back your strings, reclaim your mental autonomy, and start making choices that are 100% your own. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and stay curious.